stereo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome home. Hope you're all doing well today. Good to see you here for yet another installment of the RawCast. As usual, I'm joined today with TrueBlue. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm very, very good. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone.
Oh, top of the morning to you. So, you want to jump straight into this?
Yeah, why the hell not? Let's talk Fallout London, shall we?
Oh, please. I'm getting more and more excited about this every single day, bro, especially with headlines like this. Fallout London robot Speaker of the House is being played by the UK's former Speaker of the House. That is insane. That is absolutely massive.
When you sent me that article, I was not only excited, but I burst out laughing because this guy is a legend in the sort of political world. He's no longer working in politics or as a sort of moderator to politics, but yeah, he is like, he's iconic. There's the lines, the one-liners that he used to come out with while trying to moderate, parties in Parliament was fantastic. And just to hear that he is involved in this, wow, that's just got me hyped. And I mean, you don't know too much about him, do you? Do you, Raw?
All I know is that he was the actual the Speaker of the House. He was the Speaker of the House between 2009 and 2019.
So yeah, we've not even mentioned his name. So his name's John Bercow, and he's like, he's a no-nonsense character that moderates Parliament. Well, he used to moderate Parliament essentially. So when people were, when political parties were going to and fro and misbehaving in Parliament, he like literally slammed the hammer down and got them told to, step back in line. He was shouting order constantly. Yeah, but to know that that's so. I mean, that was for me. That was so random for him to be announced as, part of a voice actor or part of the voice acting in Fallout London. That kind of blew my mind a little bit.
I mean, I feel like it's like that with most people right now. They kind of came out of nowhere with that news. I mean, us along with many others, probably missed that kind of attention to detail just playing through the game normally. I mean, that's the kind of attention to detail I really enjoy, though. That's one of the things that's got me so excited about this mod and like really got faith in this dev team is that small attention to detail. And Fallout has a bit of a reputation for having a wide array of celebrities and making guest appearances, but the fact that they have an actual politician playing a role as themselves in this, like, that's got to be a first for the franchise, right? Like, that's huge. And the fact that this is just a mod team that got him to do that, like, that kind of speaks on who he is as an individual, too. I don't know as much about him as you do. Clearly, there's a lot that I don't know, but that's awesome, man. Like, I think we can all agree on that.
Yep, 100%. And just like what you were sort of touching on there, I think that going from like the sort of history of Fallout and talking heads and characters, there have been some cracking characters. Do you know what I mean? And it's part of it's part of what sort of appeals to the well, it's positives, should I say, of the franchise. Because even going back to like Fallout 1, there was so many iconic like guys that you'd remember. And you would look forward to speaking to again. Like, I mean, I could list them off, but I mean, people know, like, you know, your likes of Harold, you've got Killian and Blackwater and Fallout 1. You've got, you know, the drill, my personal favorite, the drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Sergeant Dornan is one of my favorites. But then even going on to, like, you know, the further games, you've got like your Fallout 3 characters as well. And your Fallout I think the New Vegas ones as well were absolutely brilliant. Like, I loved my favorite guy from I know we're sort of going down a rabbit hole here, but you know, I'm just trying to emphasize the point that the acting and the voice characters have always been quite, you know, well done in terms of like, like I'm going to say Boone from Fallout New Vegas. I loved him as a character. Like even his side quest, his quest and his dialogue and things like that. But you know, even like Cassidy as well. I mean, I loved her storyline. I loved how she was voiced. Then you've got as well. Last one I'm going to chuck out is I really liked. Is it Veronica from the Brotherhood of Steel as well? She was really cool. All interesting characters. All people that you want to you get invested into, and you know, you want to find out more about their character and how they progress in the storyline. But yeah, going back to John Bercow, I mean, like having him in there, like it'd be really, really interesting. I mean, I would be wanting to find out as much as I can about his character and how he progresses and stuff, and what sort of roles he'll be playing as. Will he potentially be a companion? You never know. Do you know what I mean? It'd be one of those things. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for, you know, finding out all that sort of thing.
Right. I mean, on top of that, like, it's crazy how far they've actually come. Like, I've been watching this mod over the past few years. It kind of, we'll get back to what happened to him last minute, but the mod is more or less ready to go right now. They're just waiting on GOG to finalize the installer. They're making sure that it's going to run on a wide variety of platforms without too many issues. But aside from that, the base mod itself is really ready to go. Unless you plan on playing this through Epic Game Store. Yet another reason Epic Game Store is bottom of the barrel. Now, but in all seriousness, it doesn't support update rollbacks, which has been announced by the Fallout London team as a mandatory requirement. The Fallout 4 Next Gen update is so unstable that they're not even using the latest edition of Fallout 4. They're forcing a mandatory rollback to make this mod work, and while that may look bad on Epic's behalf because they don't support the rollbacks, I think really that says more about Bethesda's update and the way they've been handling the game and this whole situation than it does anything else.
Yeah, I mean, see, from a personal point of view, like when I heard that there was going to be an update, I was quite excited, but at the same time, I was not annoyed, but I was like concerned because, like you, Raw, and I'm like many others, like in the Fallout community, they've got their Fallout 4 modded. You know, they've got it spec'd to how they want to play it, like in terms of graphics mods,
like
companion mods.
950 mods installed right now, bro.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? That just hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
And having that update with, you know, the new mechanics that they're going to introduce or whatever, which turned out to be next to nothing. You know, it was hardly even an enhancement. Me personally, I didn't do the update. I've got my my game set on pause when it comes to updates, so I'm still running on the original sort of the pre-next gen version. So I've not done that, and I'm still downloading mods and stuff like that to use through Mod Organizer. But yeah, I mean that was it's the same story. It happened with I'm pretty sure it happened with Skyrim when the Skyrim Ultimate Edition came out. A lot of things got, you know, a lot of mods had to be redone, and you know, it must be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare for modders. And that leads me on to the Fallout London sort of debacle as well, because Bethesda gave them essentially like 2 days warning, saying this update was going to go live. Can you imagine what you would feel like as a developer of that game? You know, you put your heart and soul into this game. Do you know what I mean? Put your heart and soul, like a dedicated modding team. Do you know what I mean? There's not just like the modding team itself, the voice actors, you know, that must have been a massive blow. Like, just Bethesda, what were you doing? Just give them some warning,
Well,
let them know what was going on.
okay, to be fair, just real quick interjection, looking at this from all perspectives, we had been waiting on Fallout London to get an actual release date for a while. We were also waiting on that time for Fallout 4 to get an update because Bethesda had been teasing that that next gen update was coming, like for a month or two at that point. They were talking about that. It sucks that they only gave them 2 days to prep for it. But just imagine the repercussions if Bethesda didn't do that. Imagine they actually push out London 2 days later. Bethesda Ghost drops the next gen update that they've been teasing for months. Imagine what their stance with the community would have looked like at that point.
Yeah, it'd been even worse. But at the same time, a bit of communication, it's not difficult. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? A bit of communication to and fro to say, this is when we plan to do it, or we've had some, with there's been some hiccups with the update. It's going to be delayed. I suggest you maybe do. All it takes is a bit of communication, and it clearly wasn't there. I don't think a 2-day warning. Wow. I mean, for
yeah.
guys that have been working to the bone, like getting this project that they're so passionate about,
And
and
Bethesda knows that too. Like they've been
yeah,
watching them. They're clearly watching these teams. Like they've hired people from London. They've hired people from Miami, if I'm not mistaken. The Capital Wasteland Project. Like all these big teams, all the major mods. Like some of the heads of those like modding scene, modding groups, the dev teams. There we go. The heads of those dev teams have been getting hired by Bethesda. Like they're keeping track of all this stuff. They know what's going on. They know where everyone's at with the release schedules, with the current updates. And again, like you keep saying, it would have been too easy to just communicate that. Like, hey, we're planning on some time around this period. Don't expect to release anything.
I mean, they've not got I mean, it's like unofficial. They've not got an obligation to do that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, like you said, they have been keeping constant overwatch. They've been watching. They've been poaching
Yeah.
developers. I mean, do you know what I mean? And that's what kind of baffles me a little bit. Those guys are clearly talented people. Those guys that are doing it as a fan project. They're not doing it for financial gain or anything like that. It's pure passion from what I've seen anyway. And yeah, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth to them. However, hopefully there's a bright ending to this, and when it does get released, there's no real issues and stuff like that. So we've got to look at the positive side of it as well in terms of when it's launched, how the optimization is, the compatibility is, but it is Bethesda, so not the company itself that are doing Fallout London, but there's bound to be some sort of hiccups or bugs here and there. Do you know what I mean?
It just works, man. It
Yeah,
just
it just
works.
works. It just works. But yeah, I mean, we've we've touched on that side of things. I mean, like Fallout London, essentially an overview of it really. It says it on the tin. It's going to be set in London, which is going to be a massive jump in the franchise. I know it's a mod. I know it's a mod. It's not official. However, excuse me, having to be able to play a Fallout game outside of the US is going to be pretty cool. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a new setting.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be different factions. It's basically going to be a new experience, exploring like the cultural London, checking out the architecture, the uniqueness of London, all that sort of stuff. The characters, it's all going to be very, very different, and that's what I'm kind of excited about. Finding out the sort of story, which I did try to do a bit of research, but I can't really find a lot of the plot or anything like that. It's more I can see like the sort of factions, the sort of the location. Like there's going to be like you're going to be obviously exploring London. There's going to be the subways. There's going to be all that sort of stuff. There's going to be all these new characters to meet. So yeah, I'm genuinely quite excited about that. It's going to be very fresh. It's going to be a fresh approach to Fallout.
Yeah. I'm intentionally like I'm doing everything I can not to have too much of it spoiled. I've watched the trailers. I've watched the trailers several times. But as far as doing further digging, further research, I've been really intentionally keeping a blind eye to oh, excuse me if you guys heard that on the podcast. I apologize. Um Yeah, I've been trying to stay in the dark as much as possible with this because, like you said, this is going to be a brand new, fresh experience out of country. Technically, the first time, like, yeah, you could say Operation Anchorage kind of you know, like there's been teases of out of country, and we've had characters. That's one thing that's like always piqued my curiosity. Where do some of these characters come from with these thick, heavy accents? Like Raul from New Vegas, he's
Hmm.
one of the only ones that's got a really thick, heavy accent that I could think of from that game. And then you've got, uh, oh my God, I'm going blank right now. I know that there's so many different accents throughout the Fallout series.
I'm trying to think of the sort of the accents. I mean, there's talking about accents, but like I quite like the one of my favorite ones is Marcus, the super mutant in Fallout 2. So he's like
Right.
he's like a well-spoken super mutant. He's like he's one of the intelligent ones that I've slept through, and I liked him as a character. And he's got a sort of unique accent. You've got who else? Do you remember? I don't think you'll know this, but there's a guy called Myron, and I think he's in Fallout 2,
Oh yeah,
and he's
Created
he's a
Jet,
kid.
right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's the guy.
got
And
you.
yeah, and he's another unique one. He's a unique character. And then you've got well, there's a one as well. Again, I'm leaning towards Fallout 1 and 2, but there's Fallout 2 is a a tribesman called Sulik, and he's got like a how can I describe his accent? Kind of like a slight Jamaican accent. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of that going on, but he's a tribes person. But yeah, it's like all quite unique, and that's going back to my point. I mean, all these characters are very, very interesting, and you want to know their backstory. You want to see how they develop and things like that. And it's all good. But I'm looking forward to that when it comes to Fallout London. Not only that. Sorry to Rob, but I'm going to like just touch on a few other bits and bobs. Like apparently
Go
there's going to be
ahead.
there's going to be new weapons. Like you would expect that in the London setting. Yeah, there's like obviously new items, enemies that fit into the London setting. There's going to be an advanced crafting system as well, which I was unaware of at the time. So I mean that'll be interesting to see how that comes along, how they're going to approach that when it comes to crafting weapons and all that. Another thing that I'm quite excited for, and it's quite unique to Fallout as well. Well, it is very unique to Fallout. New radio stations. Do you know what I mean? That'd be
Oh
really
my
really
God,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, so
for
new
sure.
radio like yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what the sort of songs and stuff like that, and the sort of feel of the radio stations are. That'd be awesome to listen to and discover. But even they even hinted about unique mechanics to take advantage of the urban setting. So I don't know what that means. Like such as like I think I'm looking at vertical exploration and interactions with historical sites. That's what I'm reading right now. So take that take that as you would, because that seemed to me that sounds quite interesting. How you interact with historical sites. So you never know what that could implement.
That could be really
Uh,
intriguing, and just that's one thing I give Fallout 4 full props for is the vertical exploration, the vertical combat. The everything was so flat in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Like I mean, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Like yeah, you had hills and stuff. You get what I'm saying. But as far as like
yeah,
rooftops or like buildings that are open, not an interior cell that you can actually make your way up, climb, and like jump along rooftops in certain areas. Like I love that side of the combat of Fallout 4. It made it feel so much more modern, so much more ex explorative,
yeah, I know what you
explorable.
mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
so much freer.
But yeah, see when you said like just on that, I mean the again I'm going to touch on the setting itself. So like, I mean you can imagine there's going to be like different weather. The
It's
weather's
gonna
going to
rain
suck.
all the time.
Yeah, it's going to rain all the time, right? But then you're going to have like you know if they're accurate to London, it's going to be yeah the weather's going to be not that great. It's going to be foggy streets. You're going to be going down
It's
into
gonna be so sick.
underground. Yeah, you're going to be underground metro tunnels as well. Do you know what I mean? And that just screams like kind of Fallout 3-ish
As long as
sort
they're
of.
better executed than Fallout 3, please,
Uh,
dear God.
yeah, I know, man. Oh, that was frustrating. Like the amount of times I got lost, or this was just not very good. Yeah,
That was
no,
the introduction to the series for me, and I have a soft spot for Fallout 3, but the Metros can kick rocks.
yep, I definitely. No, I didn't enjoy that. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be loads of different locations and loads of different stuff. Also, like I said, I touched on, there's going to be all the new characters to discover, and hopefully a good amount of companions to sort of develop and find out their backstory. I mean, it's all exciting stuff. It's all stuff that we all anticipate and look forward to.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, well, speaking of older games, while we were on the topic of Fallout 3, uh, Van Buren has made a return. And it's crazy
Yeah,
to even think that gets to see the light of day. For those of you that don't know, Van Buren was the canceled Fallout 3 before we got Fallout 3. Blue, you got quite a bit to say on this if you want to go ahead and take the reins.
yeah, man. So, like Ross said, this was a like highly anticipated sequel to Fallout 2. I know there was Fallout Tactics in there as well, but this was a successor to Fallout 2, and it was going to be the original Fallout 3. Yeah, and it was unfortunately cancelled. But just an overview of it. Van Buren was the code name for what was intended to be Fallout 3. Like I said, developed by Black Isle Studios, the original creators of the Fallout series. Development started in like 2001, I think, and it was to continue the series legacy of the storytelling, the complex characters, all that kind of stuff, the open world side of things, the open world experience. But again, like I said, unfortunately, it was cancelled in 2003 due to financial troubles and internal issues at Interplay Entertainment, the parent company that of Black Isle Studios. But from what I get from doing a bit of research and stuff like that, the settings and the storyline of Van Buren were it was set in the American Southwest, specifically parts of Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. And the storyline was meant to revolve around the player character known as the Prisoner. See, that was something I wasn't aware of either, who escapes from a high-tech prison and gets caught up in larger conflicts involving different factions vying, should I say, sorry, for control of the region. Like key themes included the revival of old world ideologies and the struggle for power, and again a post-apocalyptic world. And the game promised to explore like deeper moral and ethical dilemmas with choices that significantly impacted the world, like as you would expect in your Fallout games. But yeah, it aimed to sort of expand on the traditional Fallout mechanics while introducing new features. But it would have retained the classic view, the isometric. I believe it's not an iso like I think Tim Kaine said it's not an isometric. I cannot
I don't
remember
remember
what
the
he said.
exact name, but I know what you're talking about.
It's
I heard that too. He was talking about at one point that the game wasn't too far in development. They had a good amount done, but he'd only played about what 2 hours of an actual playable
yeah,
game, and he said it could be done within the next 18 months if given the funds. But during that time, Interplay was already looking at shutting down, and it was just too much for them to handle.
yeah. I mean, I think it was going to stick to its turn-based sort of combat, the original games, but it was going to be more of a advanced graphics and more dynamic environments. Apparently,
Right.
it was going to be a more advanced physics engine that would allow for more interactive and destructive environments, which is quite interesting. That would have been quite cool to see
I
in
would
like
love
the
to
fall.
see that.
Yeah, and the game planned to feature like a robust character creation system, like detailed skill progression and all that, as you would expect, reputation system, and how it affected other NPCs and factions when you interacted with them. But yeah, there was a lot of things that were quite exciting about it. And like going from that, just talking about that, the sort of factions and characters. This is something that, again, you have to remember. This was supposed to be Fallout 3, so a lot of these will will be familiar. So it was set to introduce other factions with distinct ideologies and goals and stuff like that. And these ones will be familiar, obviously. The Brotherhood of Steel, the NCR, and Caesar's Legion would appear in this. And additionally, there's other groups that were planned than these ones that I had never heard of. So apparently there was going to be a group called the Reservation, a faction of mutated humans apparently, and the Reavers, and a technology advanced cult. So those were two that I've never heard of until I did a bit of research. Again, the game was posed to feature a rich cast of characters with their own backstories, like motivations, contributing to complex relationships and conflicts and things like that. I mean, what's your take on that, Raw? I mean, it's quite interesting, those two factions, wasn't it? The Reservation and the Reavers. So Reservation, like I said, mutated humans, and Reavers were technology advanced cult. What'd you make of that?
It sounds like a oh, what's it sounds like someone that would go up against the Brotherhood of Steel and see what type of interactions the Brotherhood and them would have with one another. With the Brotherhood's main focus being to it sounds
Like
very similar to theirs, like to
to
dang.
collect technology, yeah.
Yes, Jesus, I cannot think right now. to collect old world technology to basically hoard it. It would be nice to see what that type of interaction would be. It's crazy to think of all the stuff that was coming to this series that we just never got to see. And just real quick, that destructible environment being in that engine would have been crazy. But if they could take Fallout 4's gameplay and add some destructible environments to, my God, could you imagine like Bad Company 2 destructible
Yeah, yeah.
environments in a Fallout engine right now? That would be nuts.
So like, I mean, the image I've got in my head right now is like, if there was, I don't know, a group of raiders and they were like holed up in a house and they were sniping at you and stuff like that, and
Just
all you
blow
needed
it
to do
down.
was, yeah, you could go from rocket launcher to Fat Man
Mimic,
straight
yeah,
away. Just
exactly.
take that house down, and I mean that'd have been awesome. It's maybe something we expect in later Fallout games. That'd be really cool. I mean, I don't want it to. I want obviously the features that I want in future Fallout games would focus more on the story, but having
For sure,
destructible,
for sure.
yeah, because it's not essentially what it is. But to have the solid combat, the combat has advanced with each Fallout. You know what I mean, with the
Right.
weapons that you use, the customization and things like that. But yeah, that would be a nice little feature, being able to do that and just completely level buildings and just have that sort of interaction, like you say, like the battlefield style. I'm not talking I'm not talking like raising skyscraper like flattening skyscrapers and things like that, but I'm talking like, like I said, if there's a shack with guys held up in it, you could take it down, getting rid of them all in there and stuff, and vice versa. You feel you could be quite safe, and before you know it, there's a fat man coming in your face.
That would be
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely terrifying.
I know, man, that'd be good. But going back to the sort of the Van Buren thing, it's it was it was the legacy and influence, and it's just a shame that it was kind of it was canned, and obviously it was for financial reasons. But that kind of, I don't know if we want to chat about it now, Rob. But it kind of leads us on to the fan created mod.
Yeah, Fallout yesterday, it it is Van Buren, at least from this modder's perspective of it anyway. Again, we haven't gotten too much information on what Van Buren was. It's a bit of a lost project. Uh, there was a good amount of development done, but there wasn't too much that was necessarily playable yet. We have a lot of insider information from people like Tim Kaine about what the game was going to be, and like you were discussing some of the factions and destructible environments, and it seems like the mod creator has uh stuck to like the vibe, the feeling that we were getting from what we knew about Van Buren. Of course, they had to take some artistic liberties because limited resources, but it seems like a really interesting project. I have still yet to play through Fallout 2, as much as it pains me to say it. I need to play through that so I can now get to this one though.
Yeah, and that's a crime that you've not done that, and I'm going to keep reminding you. I'm going to keep reminding you all the time. 1 and 2, it is a crime that you've not done it. But yeah, on a serious note, I have looked into this. So it's Fallout yesterday, and it's basically a reimagining or revival of Van Buren that we just talked about, and it requires. It's on Nexus. It's on Nexus site as a mod to download, and it requires the base game of Fallout 2 to play. But yeah, I've downloaded it. I've yet to play it, but I was looking at the page itself, and the main story is based on Van Buren. It looks very Fallout 1 and 2. It's that sort of, I'm going to say isometric because I don't know the actual name for it, but it's like that sort of view. But yeah, apparently there's 3 different player races you can choose from straight away. There's human, there's super mutant, there's ghoul. Over 10 different appearance choices when you do that, with a world map 5 times the size of Fallout 2. I mean, that's pretty big. That is really big because Fallout 2's map was quite big. Over 20 companions. I mean, this is quite good for like a mod. Again, this is not an official game. It's a modding community again, but yeah, 20 companions over 20 different locations, 100 traits that you can pick from,
That's great.
150 perks. Yeah. And then this one again, going back to the character side of things, and it's got 100 talking heads. And if anyone is unfamiliar with like what talking head is, Fallout 1 and 2 had them. It's like the important characters in the game where you would speak to them, you would have voice dialogue with them, and they would show up on screen with dialogue options, but also their face talking to you, visually represented. And apparently, all these faces. I don't know about this one. I don't know about this game, but the faces in Fallout 1 and 2 were created by, artists using clay and all that sort of stuff. There's not much like CGI. It's all done, physically, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, apparently there's 100 talking heads in this new mod with over, and this got me quite excited as well, over 60 ambient music tracks. Now,
Dang.
I mean, Fallout 1 and 2, I mean, the ambient music in that was, it set the scene perfectly. So it'll be very interesting to have a listen to see what they've went with that. There's the usual stuff going on. There's like going to be a crafting system, a free roaming caravan system as well, which is going to be quite interesting. So I mean, they kind of did that a little bit. You had the caravan aspects in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, if I remember right. But
Yeah, New
yeah,
Vegas specifically.
yeah, because you had the gun runners and things like that in it. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Over 200 weapons in this mod with, and another thing that's quite interesting, 7 different vehicles. So I don't know what those would be. I mean, 7 different ones. I'm assuming there'll be the classic car that you would drive around in Fallout 2, but I'm assuming there'll be like motorbikes and stuff. I'll need to have a proper look into that. But yeah, there's a lot of features in here. Going into it, there's going to be new uses for skills, location artwork, over 20 different loading screens it's got here, over 100 new Vault Boy illustrations. Yeah, and it's going to be getting worked on continuously as well. So it's got up and coming features like translations, voiceover, 3D cinematics, things like that. So a project that I am definitely, or a mod should I say, that I'm definitely looking forward to delving into, being a big massive fan of Fallout 1 and 2 to see what they've actually done with this. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get into. There's a lot of stuff to get your teeth into. What do you make of it, Raw? Is there anything that sticks out, what I've just talked about there, like specifically?
I mean, one of the things that really perked my ears up coming from like the 3D Fallouts, that being my whole interaction with the series as of right now, the fact that those you said it had 60 ambient music tracks.
I'll just double, yeah, 60 ambient music tracks.
I mean, granted, there's a lot more that caught my attention, but the fact that it has 60 ambient tracks is absolutely insane to me. Like, I feel like I could hear like the same 5 in Fallout 3 over and over in my head. And same
Yeah,
thing with New Vegas. Like, they was so limited on that aspect. It's kind of crazy that there were 60 ambient tracks. Um,
I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but the music and like from Fallout 3 and stuff like that, you'd associate a lot of the time. You'd associate the radio stations, wouldn't you? The Butcher Pete's and all that sort of stuff.
right.
I mean, I love that. I really love that. But see, from my previous experiences playing Fallout 1 and 2, the ambient tracks were so good. I mean, they're like the setting, like obviously it's a dark setting, it's a post-apocalyptic world and all that, but the music set the tone massively. It's like you would go into, at one point, I don't want to spoil it too much for you if you're going to play it in that, but there's one point in Fallout 1 where you go to a place called Necropolis, which is like it's a city of the dead. It's a city infested with ghouls basically, but
Right.
there's like a friendly set of ghouls, and there's also like an evil set that are, that if you go near them, if you aggro them, they attack you, but there's other ones that talk to you and communicate with you. But the music in there, when you got there, it was just like, oh, it gives me chills just thinking about it. If anyone that's played Fallout 1, they'll know exactly what I mean with the ambient tracks, and that ambient track in particular. I mean, you can YouTube it at some point later on after the cast or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I highly recommend listening to it, because I think Tim Kaine and his staff did an excellent job with that. There's actually a video somewhere on YouTube of Tim Kaine discussing ambient tracks specifically. So I'd encourage you to check that out. Just give a little YouTube search. But yeah, I mean, 60 tracks. That's awesome.
If you're interested in any of these like older Fallouts, definitely give Tim Kane's channel a view. Go check him out. He's relatively new on the YouTube side of things, from what I was saying, at least with his frequent uploads. But he's been consistent here lately. He's always getting his word out there, talking back with the community and stuff. It's kind of crazy to see how active he still is in all this. Like, I mean, he is quote unquote like the godfather of Fallout, though.
Yeah, I mean, I watch his channel regularly, and the insight you get from him, it's like little things that you just don't know. It's like when he talks
Right.
about not just Fallout, but his other games. Like, there's another game that I play. Sorry to go a little bit off topic, but
Oh, you're good.
there's a game called Tyranny, that I really like. There's also another one called Temple of Elemental Evil that he's obviously it was Troika at the time, but they were involved with that. They created them. But Tyranny was a one that really stuck out. I played it not too long ago, a couple of years ago, and it was essentially it was like the game was evil. It was you could not be a good character. Whatever character you picked, it was evil, and like it was like an evil force had conquered this land or realm, and you had to play as a part of an evil faction. So there was no paladins or like neutral goods or that. It was chaotic evil, if you like. It was your character, and one of his videos was explaining how he did that, how it was fought up, and it's really interesting stuff. It was just like his point of view and little tidbits of why he did this and why he did that. But then going back to Fallout, it's exactly the same. He chats about I think what was one of the videos that I watched recently. It was to do with companions, like little things like that. He'll talk about companions, how they were designed and how they were constructed, and things like that. A really good insight into the Fallout or anything RPG really. And it's just him essentially just chatting away, talking about his own opinions and his experiences. A lot of guys message him to say, how do I become a developer, or they look for tips from him on how to do things, how to go about things. And I mean, he's like a fountain of knowledge, isn't he? He's been in the industry for God knows how long. And I mean, the creator of Fallout 1 and 2, you can't argue with that, can you? I mean,
Not at all.
like I said, Fallout 1, my favourite game ever. So yeah, I would encourage. You can't get back. Tim Kane, you're not giving me money or anything like that. I'm plugging your channel. I'm plugging your channel like mad. But yeah, it's really really interesting, worth a watch, definitely.
It's crazy to think of like the games industry used to be gamers running the show. It was games from gamers for gamers. It's crazy like how far we've really fallen from that, how it's all just become monopolized and really um just so value oriented, so cash focused. It really kind of sucks, but I mean, there are little lights at the end of the tunnel. There's glimmers of hope. Stuff like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Stalker 2, and then with some of these companies, I mean, if you're good on Fallout, we can go ahead and lead into Valve. Um,
Yeah, sure.
so Valve is making headlines again, and of course, it's something positive. The headline specifically that caught my attention was court documents show that not only is Valve a fraction the size of companies like EA or Ubisoft, it's smaller than a lot of AAA developers. As of 2021, there hasn't been any official numbers put out since then, but in 2021, Valve had less than 350 employees, and it was fairly consistent around that number for several years prior. And there's been a lot of attacks on Valve over the last couple of years. Uh, Companies trying to say that they have a complete monopoly and a chokehold on the PC gaming side of stuff, which in a way they kind of do. But again, it goes back to like with Tim Kaine, he was making a game for gamers. Like what has Valve done? They've come out and they've made games for gamers that have come out and completely revolutionized the industry. They made a platform for you to more easily access games and to purchase games from one location. And in that, not only is it a game platform, it's like a community platform, like with the unlockables that you can get, leaving feedback on games, leaving your own comments on everything, uh, the customization that they have with it, and then going beyond that, also supporting the fan made stuff, like the modding side of stuff. If you look at like uh what's a good example, like Left 4 Dead 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 with the zombies, they have dedicated workshop pages on Steam to where you just literally go click a button and Steam handles the installment or uninstallment of mods without you having to use a third party loader, something like Vortex Mod Organizer 2 or something like that. It's all handled within Steam. And that's crazy.
Yeah, makes it so much easier, doesn't it? I mean, there's been a few times where I've used that sort of function, and like you say, it's literally a couple of clicks, and you've got the mod or the enhancement or whatever you want to call it, and it's done, the DLC or whatever. And
Right.
I just wish a lot more sort of developers or companies had that sort of approach, because you know yourself, Raw. I mean, some of the early builds of like Vortex and Mod Organizer 2, it was a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? With the mods
Yeah,
overlapping, it was just a pain, and having such an easy function for modders in particular. Modding's huge now. Do you know what I mean? I'm surprised
yes,
it's not one of the top things, because not only does it bring enjoyment to ourselves as a player base, but also it expands their games. It enhances playability. So player counts are going to stick to certain games. Like, you see it yourself, Fallout 4. I'm still playing that, and you're still playing that,
yeah.
and it's just and the majority of the reason is because of mods, isn't it? A lot of the time, having a new
Oh,
mod, having a new
entirely.
expansion. Yeah, having a new expansion of some sort, that just downloading a weapons pack, for example, little things like that. But you get the gist what I'm saying. But having that feature to be easy and understandable, because a lot of people do get overawed by the mod inside of it, and don't really like, they'll dip their toe in, but then they'll be discouraged by the complexity of it at times. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
It takes a lot of time. You need to sit down and do your research. Obviously, there's videos and, like, the stuff you've created, for example, that show you how
no,
to do it.
how
But there you
sweet.
go. Yeah, look at that. That's a nice little plug for you, my man. That's a lovely little plug for you. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? Whereas you have to dedicate a lot of time to it, and people don't have that time. People don't
Yeah,
like A lot of people do not have that time. They obviously they've got their own life, their families, etc., etc. But yeah, having that feature is for me, is fantastic. And Valve understand gamers. Valve understand that the needs and wants of gamers, and they produce from my experiences.
yeah, they do. I mean, there's so much we could talk about software, but just real quick, touching on hardware, like, not only do they come out with revolutionary games, revolutionary platforms, like the Steam Deck, they got into the hardware side of this. You're talking about less than 400 people that are out here just killing the industry. Every time Valve has a release, it defines whatever that genre is. I'm sure you got a lot to say with Half-Life. Half-Life come out, completely redefined first-person shooter genre. Because what, before that, the major first-person shooters were still like, what, Doom and Wolfenstein?
It's like Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake,
Yeah, yeah,
those sort of games. And then there was obviously there was loads of the shooters, like, I'm trying to remember now, like you like Duke Nukem, Blood.
right,
There was Shadow Warrior. There was those like boomer shooters
right.
before Half-Life. But yeah, Half-Life. Oh, where did I start with this? Jesus Christ, what a game! I mean, that game, when I played it for the first time, yeah, blew my mind. It was, like you said, it's when Valve do something, it is something that's revolutionary. Do you know what I mean? It's something that's never been seen before.
Right.
The story, the plot, the gunplay, the mechanics, the AI of I could talk about so much at the time. Do you remember how revolutionary the AI of the soldiers were? Like, when they were talking to each other on the radios
Yeah,
and things like that.
yeah,
All that sort of thing. And even at the start, where you go in and you don't know what's going on, it's like you're Gordon Freeman, you're going into the complex. There's an experiment that goes wrong, unleashes hell, and you're in there, like, trying to, basically survive. And there's like characters that are interacting. You remember Barney, the security guard? He's iconic in there, isn't he?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this is me just talking about Half-Life, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, having the interactions with the characters, and then seeing the actual creatures themselves. I mean, the head crabs, man, they still freak me out to that day. Oh, to this day, should I say? I mean, like, little things like that. It's kind of like, I mean, I've been playing The Last of Us, and it just gave me like vibes from Half-Life. Do you know what I mean? With the sort of the clickers, and how the head crabs, they jump on the host and they take control of them and all that sort of stuff. That was proper scary at the time. And you've got like those barnacles that stick on the ceiling, aren't they? They
God,
grab you and
man,
lift.
yeah, screw
They,
those.
they, they, they freak me out, man. Just like those little
First time I got
things like
sucked
that.
up to the ceiling by one of those, I was not happy.
No, I was not happy as well. I think Gordon Freeman was happy either. He was in bits, literally. But the game itself, man, like you say, when Valve do something, they don't mess around, and it was polished. I'm looking at it now. I've got the orange box on my shelf.
Right,
So you've got like
Portal.
all the yeah, you've got all the DLC and stuff like that. Like, and Team Fortress came from that as well, like all
Yeah,
those sort of games. But yeah, I mean, the time I had on that was fantastic. I remember playing it and just being in awe. I mean, what a game that is! And obviously there's the sequels. And we can only. I mean, praying and wishing for Half-Life 3. Do you know what I mean? How long
Oh,
has that
don't
been talked
even,
about?
come on. We're never gonna
It,
get anything with the 3 in it. Actually,
I
one
know.
day that's probably what they're gonna do. Valve is just gonna release a game called 3.
Yeah, I know. They did do the VR version, didn't they? They did a what's it
Yeah,
called?
Half-Life Alex.
Alex, see, I've only seen footage of that. I've not played it. I've not done any VR. I've not done any VR
I
stuff at
haven't
all, to be
either,
fair.
but from what I understand, the Half-Life Alex redefined the VR space. It came out and
Yeah,
basically did what Half-Life did on PC back in the day, like a very graphically intensive, story-driven, uh, completely new experience that we're just not used to on levels that we thought weren't necessarily possible just yet. And Valve is pushing the envelope once again.
I genuinely don't think I could be able to play that without having about 5 pair of pants.
Those
Because
head
I
crabs,
mean,
huh? The head crabs will
oh
get you.
well, it's not just the head crabs, man, but it's like the zombies or what you call them. You know, the host, the
Right.
head crab host. That they jump on and stuff like that. I watched footage of it, and it's like, it's all dark and obviously in VR, and you've got a torch and you're walking around. And honestly, if I was to play that, I'd probably be crying like a little girl. You know, I would not be happy. But yeah, it'll probably do what it says on the tin. It will scare the hell out of you. Give you that atmosphere, that Half-Life experience where you try to survive as Gordon Freeman and with all these creatures and all sorts of stuff coming at you. But I mean, it wasn't just that. It was quite complex puzzle game as well. You know what I mean? There's the puzzles where you had to sort out how to get to certain locations using the environment and things like that. I mean, little things like that again
Yeah.
was was uh,
Yeah. The
was what
combination of
made it.
all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it made it a 10 out of 10 game, and I say that, and I don't say that lightly. That is a 10 out of 10 game.
You think it would be easy for people to go back and play now that have no experience with it?
Oh yeah, I think so. Because I think it's been it's been remastered a little bit as well, hasn't it? It's got enhancements, and again, going back to the modding community, I'm pretty sure there's mods for it as well. Again, I'll need to have a look at it, but yeah, I believe that it's been quite heavily modded, and there's expansions and there's all sorts of things that have been done to it. But I believe, oh yeah, I could go back to that and play that. No dramas, like um, little enhancements to the game, and you probably be able to play it as a sort of this. I wouldn't say this gen, but sort of a playable game. It wouldn't be, to me. It wouldn't be out of date. It wouldn't be outdated and stuff like that. But I say that because I can still go back and play Fallout 1. Do you know what I mean? Other
Right.
people,
Right.
the younger generation would look at that like visually and go, "What the hell is that?" It's like, "What is this?" Like if their first experience was like, say, Fallout 3 or whatever, going back to that would be difficult for some people. But for me, I can go back and play those kind of games and still enjoy it for the gameplay, not the graphics, but just the experience, the gameplay, the story, all that sort of thing. So I guess it's personal preference, but at the same time, I think anybody could go back that was sort of interested in that FPS genre, especially like, I don't know, if people were playing like, I don't know, what's the most recent, what would you say was the most recent and most successful FPS? Would you say like in the Doom series or whatever? Like, I mean, what's really good FPS right now that you would sort of
I mean,
put
major
in a higher regard?
FPS right now, I guess Call of Duty, like I don't know about good because I don't play Call of Duty anymore, but it's a major FPS.
Yeah, so I mean, I mean, it's completely different. I mean, it's an FPS, but it's more. I say Call of Duty's arcadey, where there's not much of a story to it. There is a little bit of a story, the campaigns and things like that, but I don't know. The old like sort of nostalgic part of me always goes back to like well written stories, intrigue,
Right.
characters and things like that, and I just don't think games have that at this time. I mean, I must be sounding old here, but that's the sort of thing. That's the
Speaking of
sort of thing I
sounding
look for.
old, I think you struck a nerve with Beat. He said, "Younger generation, hey, hey, watch it, Gramps."
Yeah, sorry, Pete. But you get what I'm saying, man. You get what I'm saying. If you were to go back and have a shot of it, Pete, have a little play of Half-Life. You might have done already, I don't know, but yeah,
Right.
highly recommend it. That's all I'm saying. Great story, great FPS, 10 out of 10.
And really, we don't even have to go back that far. Like even with Fallout 1 and 2, I've had experiences with people trying to go back and play Fallout 3, like getting introduced to it with Fallout 4, and Fallout 3 is just too old and dated for them. I've seen posts online. I can't remember exactly what videos I was watching, but I've watched videos here on YouTube, and people in the comments saying like, I don't understand how you play this. The graphics are so bad. Like it's so low poly, and you're talking about like a PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era game. It's kind of crazy
Yeah,
how so many people really base games and the like yeah, just completely base games off the visual aspect. Like visuals do play a part and it can definitely enhance a game. Like if you, for instance, you're playing through The Last of Us for the first time right now, you're playing it on PC, maxed out settings, the remake, what the Last of Us Part 1, I think that's what they called the remake.
yeah.
So you're playing that
I
right
mean,
now, but you would still have just as good of an experience playing it on the PlayStation 3 with the original graphics. For in
oh,
my
no,
opinion. In my
without a
opinion.
doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I'm not. It's like, again, I don't want to sound condescending or that, but I think there's a lot of snobbery involved
Yeah.
in gaming these days, and I think attention spans as well, because there's so much
Yes.
content out
Oh
there.
my God.
So there's so much content out there that a lot of people will be jumping from game to game, and if they don't like something, like within 5 minutes, they'll move on to the next, and they'll be like, they won't give it a chance. Like, I mean, can you
Yeah.
imagine someone trying to play Fallout? I don't know, Fallout 1, whereas you start in the vault, and I remember my experience. It starts off quite slow, and you're like, "What is this?" But then eventually you get out to the open world, and that's when it starts. Going back to The Last of Us, I play that, and like you say, I'm playing on max settings and all that, and it's remastered.
Right.
But that doesn't that's the last thing on my mind. I'm looking for a
Yeah.
smooth experience, obviously, FPS
Right.
wise and all that, but I'm just looking for a good story, good mechanics, good gameplay. The graphics don't have to be amazing, but
But when they
they
are,
are.
it is that nice extra touch.
Yeah, 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 but they are. I mean, it's polished, but I think a lot of the time there's a lot of snobbery involved in gaming, and like if they see
Right.
something that's like if they see something that's not as graphically enhanced as or what they expect these days, then they'll just chuck it aside. Or if within 5 minutes it's not racy enough for them, it's not, they're
Yeah.
not, if they're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, if they're not interested, essentially, if they're not interested within 5 minutes, they'll put it down and look for something else. But again, that's kind of the world today in terms of gaming. It's like
Yeah.
you have to make your game has to make an instant impact for it to be a success,
Attention
because there's
spans
so
have been completely killed. We need to revisit this topic in a later podcast, but
yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah,
but I mean,
stuff like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all of this, like attention spans have been deteriorating for a long time now, and it's hard to stay relevant in times like this. Like Fallout having the success that it has off of that TV show is still blowing my mind. I'm grateful, but at the same
yeah,
time, you're starting to see the repercussions of the cringy side of the games industry, from what I call it, with Call of Duty coming out with special skins that are nothing more than a cash grab, throwing a vault suit on some people running around with Nicki Minaj and Snoop and whoever else running around killing people. And Fortnite, like that's the stuff I was worried about, you know? Like
yeah, yeah,
I
just
just
the
hope it doesn't make
microtransactions
its
and stuff.
way in to mainline Fallout. If Fallout is branching out and testing waters with these other things, like okay, but please just keep that out of Fallout itself.
Yeah, I agree. There's too much of it at a time, and like you say, it's a cash grab by a lot of companies, microtransactions and silly camos for guns and things like that. I mean, I'm so against all that. I mean, for me, I just want to play a game. I want to play a game that's
Yeah,
got decent amount of content, keeps me enthralled, keeps me engaged, and yeah, it doesn't matter really too much about specific things like graphics and things like that. As long as the game is enjoyable and I can play it with friends as well. Yeah, I mean that's it in a nutshell for me in terms of gaming. But I mean, going back to Valve, I mean that's what they do. Valve, they are they are seriously committed to the consumer. In my opinion, I think they know what they're doing in terms of pushing stuff out, a highly polished product that you know will tick all the boxes, will keep people engaged, keep people buying the products, and also update. They're good at the sort of like you said, the DLC side of it or the modern side where it's easy accessible. They can do that. Not you can do it not a problem without having to download and about a million different applications and different mods and they're having to look through YouTube for guides. But yeah, in a nutshell, I think like Valve, I've got it right, and I'm really looking forward to see what they've got in their locker for the next project.
Pete almost made me cry laughing. This is exactly what I was talking about, though. He said the day they add Peter Griffin power armor. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm on board anymore. It's
No,
like,
my
please, dear
God.
God, don't do that. Don't do that. Bethesda,
Yeah,
please, if nothing else, just stay true. Stay true to Fallout.
some of the other mods, like that just reminds me of some of the mods for Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, the ridiculous mods. I had like the Randy Savage mod where if you got a critical hit, he was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, and the Randy
Do you know what I mean?
Savage dragons, like, yeah.
Yeah. And there was one for the Road Dog for the wrestling as well. And oh man, there was just like stupid. I mean, I don't mind that because it's mods. It's just mods.
Yeah,
You with the
it's
op
meant to be
you,
over the top and temporary. It's not supposed to be main attraction of the game. Like,
yeah, you're not. I mean, some if you're to speak to a real Fallout fan or someone that's historically played it through the years, and you're a company and go, hey, do you want to try this new feature? It's Peter Griffin and Power Armor. I'll be like, I'll
fuck
try not to swear
off.
here, but I'll be, yeah,
Oh
well,
my God, yeah.
yeah, he's just done it. Look at that.
Ah, top of the
Only
morning
the
to
best,
you.
only the best from Raw.
Jeez.
And the Scotsman can keep it together, but this guy, oh, here we
Hey,
go.
don't make me. Never mind.
No,
I'm gonna throw that clip up on screen, bro.
oh God, nah, you don't want that clip. You
No,
don't
I'm
want
just
that
kidding.
clip.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, that I would instantly dismiss them up and go. I would say, yeah, no, I don't want that. It's completely one. It's completely lore breaking, and two, it's I don't know. It doesn't suit the environment. It's not Fallout. It's just nonsense, to be honest, and I would be completely opposed to it.
I, if if companies like Bethesda, I'm not just gonna point fingers at Bethesda. They're topic of discussion right now, so I kind of am. But if companies like Bethesda would take note of what gamers actually want, that's going back to Steam to an extent. Like that's why they're seeing so much success. That's why the Epic Game Store is such a failure in so many aspects. It loads up slow. It maneuvers around slowly. The UI is bad. There's no like real community driven stuff in it. There's no place for you to leave comments. It's harder to navigate to try to add friends or to connect with friends. There's no extra incentives to use it. It's just worse all the way around. And
Yeah,
modders are just doing a better job than so many of these companies in so many different ways.
yeah.
If they take note, the crazy thing, like, actually, we already covered that. Never mind. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying. I mean, I think, like you say, companies should just stay loyal to fans, listen to fans, and basically be respectful to fans as well. Because at the end of the day, they're buying the product. They're buying the product, and
Yeah.
they should not have the final say, but they should have an input. And I mean, it has a lot of companies do have like communities, like community discussions, and I think the Battlefield series did it quite well. Like they had a community server, they had like a community test server rather, where
Yeah.
they would invite players on, and like when they made changes, they would go, come on, jump in at this online server and tell me what you think, and they would get feedback, which I thought was a really good approach, and I just wished that more companies could sort of follow that suit, because I think it's more beneficial. It's beneficial for the company itself and obviously the consumer at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. We'll see where it takes us. We'll see where the games industry continues to go from here. Hopefully, it's nothing but up, because in a lot of aspects, we're hitting some pretty low notes right now. There's those lights. There's the lights. We can see them, but there's a
Yeah,
hell of a lot of darkness right now too.
100%.
Unless you got anything else to add, I think we can kind of go ahead and wrap it up here. Um,
No, I think we've been going for about an hour, haven't we? So yeah, I think
yeah,
we've covered everything we're gonna cover. Yeah, and just yeah, it was enjoyable little chat. Particularly about Fallout London. We're all excited for Fallout London. And I mean, some of the stuff that I researched about Van Buren was an eye opener as well. I didn't realise, and I'm quite looking forward to jumping into Fallout yesterday. I think that'd be really interesting. Like particularly the stuff that I've listed off. But I think that's it, mate. I think we've pretty much covered everything. And yeah,
well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the RawCast episode 2. If you enjoyed the show, please consider hitting that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned for another RawCast with your boy RawTactics and TrueBlue. We could potentially be doing some chivalry too right after this stream. If you like to see that, stay tuned. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time. Join the Discord if you haven't. Always stay up to date with news there. Potential giveaways coming up soon. Winning the lottery. Thank you all for being here. I love you guys. Stay active, stay healthy, hydrated. We're out of here.
See ya.